All right, once again, we've got transformation tips, and I honestly feel a little bit like a broken record because I just said all these things on the daily challenge, and I've been saying them all week, but I'm going to say them all again. Especially, like I said, I know it was a little bit different because you didn't have like the directed notes where I said this is this. These are the things you should have kind of found out. That if a constant is being added or subtracted to the function, that it is a translation, and it's going to move it up and down and or left and right. We know on our quiz we had at least one where we had to do, I think we had two, where we had to move it both left and right and up and down. So if it's added, we recognize that as a translation. Or if we look at a graph and we see that it's being shifted over or up or whatever, we should know that we could change that function by adding or subtracting depending on how we see it being moved. If a constant is being multiplied to the function, it is a stretch, and the shape will change to be narrower or wider. And I don't have this on this slide, but I know we did talk about it when we did the recap for investigation 3, that if that number is greater than 1, it's going to get narrower. If that number is between 0 and 1, it will get wider. So I know I don't have that typed up, but I did put this on Google Classroom, so if you are having trouble writing it all down right now, it is on that Google Classroom, and you could always go back a couple pages to relook at investigation 3 for that one. We know that if it is a negative being multiplied, it's going to be a reflection. If whatever is happening outside of the function, then it affects the function vertically, so the y value of a point changes. So we were just talking about that as we went over the daily challenge. You know, we kind of talked about too that if we don't see something happening by the x, if that x is all by itself, then it will affect that y coordinate. And then if it is inside the function, it affects the function horizontally, so the value of the x value of the point will change. So if it's happening inside the x, it's going to change that x. I'm going to hold up a bit because I think we've got some people that are still writing. All right, we're still going, we're still waiting? Okay. So on this daily challenge, we just did one transformation at a time, but you might see today, you might take a look at what happens if we do more than one. Like, can I reflect it and shift it over? Can I stretch it and shift it down? You know, what happens if we have multiple things we have to do? So if you still need this, it is on the Google Classroom. But if you have to perform multiple transformations, do it in this order. So if you have to do a bunch of different things, first do a horizontal translation. Decide if it's moving left or right, move it left or right. Then you can do the vertical and horizontal stretches in one step. So whatever you have to multiply the x by and whatever you have to multiply the y by, you can do that in the same step. So stretch it or shrink it or wherever that looks. And I was thinking about it, and I think if you wanted to, you could do the reflection in the same step, but if you want to slow it down to be less confused, then do the reflections in a step 3. So after you shifted it left or right, you stretch it or shrink it, then kind of flip it over if there's a reflection. And then the very last thing you would do would be a vertical translation, shifting it up or down. So if you come across something that makes you do multiple, it's not going to happen very often. I think there's just a few you're going to see that are like that. Then I would do those in this order. So the last thing is all those translations all on one screen so you can kind of see it all. So if we have a vertical translation, we know it's added or subtracted. So we've got vertical and horizontal. I sort of put them in the same order that you did the investigations on them. And then I also put up here what happens to the point. So if you are a vertical translation, then you're adding b. You take whatever b is and you add it to the y value. If it's a horizontal translation and it's moving to the right a units, then you have to add a to it. Then we've got our stretches. So if it is a vertical stretch, you can see we're multiplying the y-coordinate by p. Really, really important on the horizontal stretch, remember the scale factor is the reciprocal, so whatever you're multiplying by, you actually have to divide the x-coordinate by or multiply it by like 1 over 2 or whatever it happens to be. I couldn't get the 1 over in this Google slide presentation, so it's just, I did divide by q. Then for the reflections, if the negative's out front, that goes on the y. If it's in there by the x, then it goes on the x. I'm going to freeze this and leave this up here, so if you want to take your time to jot that down. Can you all see the 5F assignment? I was having some problems formatting, so I don't really know how to make that bigger. But your 5F assignment is 2, 3C, 4A, 5, 6, and 7. And so, again, it's all the transformations all together. So you've got those. You will have 2 graphs that are going to look crazy like this daily challenge, where you're going to have several different graphs all on the same coordinate plane. So don't forget about that. It's your best. The answers in the back of the book are very clear with different colors and stuff, kind of like this. So I know I have to check in with a couple of people about some certain things, but you pretty much have the rest of the time to work. When's the test?
Wednesday or Thursday.
Thursday. So today it's like an assignment, but it's almost like a review because it's kind of going over everything we know, and then we'll have 2 days of review, and then we'll have the test.